43. So, speeding on the back of the marauder, we journey till we reach this island where Alcina's sister reigned, as was in order. She being King Uther's only female heir, Alcina had not scrupled to defraud her, although, as many people are aware, she and Morgana are the fruit of incest. To this Rogerio listened with great interest. 44. They are as full of vile iniquity, being in sin and infamy well matched, as she who lives a life of purity, to all the seven virtues is attached. And so they mounted a conspiracy, and more than once an army they dispatched, with orders from her island realm to drive her, and of 100 fortresses deprive her. 45. And scarce an inch of land would she possess. Her name is Logostilla, I should say, but for a gulf her sisters cannot pass, and rugged mountain peaks which bar the way, as Cheviot hills and Tweed create impasse, and Scotch and English forces hold at bay, and still this evil couple never rest, but every stronghold from her seek to wrest. 46. This guilty couple are so filled with sin that Logostilla's virtue they both hate. But to resume, how from a paladin a myrtle I became, I will relate. Alcina in a great bliss now held me in her toils, and with a love insatiate she burned, and I enamored was no less by every blandishment and sweet caress. 47. And in her tender limbs I knew such joy, the sum of all delights it seemed to be, such as no lovers in this world enjoy, for bliss to few is granted copiously. No memories of war my thoughts employ, or come between her lovely face and me. Of her and of her only I'm aware, naught can I do but on her beauty stare. 48. And I by her was loved as much and more, and presently no need had she of others. To all her lovers she had shown the door. Before my time there had been many others. The office of adviser I soon bore, and it was gave orders to the others. In me she trusted, and on me relied, and day and night I never left her side. 49. Alas, my bleeding wounds why do I probe, having no hope of healing medicine? Why do I bring to mind these memories of a happiness now vanished, as within a myrtle bush I languish in this grove? Just when I thought the sum of bliss was mine, just when it seemed most ardently she burned, Alcina to another lover turned. 50. Too late I learned of her inconstancy. She loves, or she loves not, as suits her book. Scarcely 2 months had passed, I think, ere she, as was her whim, another lover took, and from all confidence excluded me, with many an unfriendly word and look. I later learned that she had likewise thwarted 1,000 others by whom she'd been courted. 51. And lest her disappointed lovers spread report of this lascivious life of hers, she plants them in a very different bed, converting them to palm trees, or to firs, or olive trees, or cedars, or, instead, the lesser status of a bush confers, or turns them into animals, or streams, or any form that pleasing to her seems. 52. Now you, who by some accustomed way have travelled to this isle of doom, my lord, on your account some wretched lover may be changed to stone or water at her word. On you Alcina will devote her sway, and bliss beyond all mortal joy award. But be advised, the time must surely come when rock or tree or fountain you become. 53. Such knowledge as I've gladly shared, although I doubt it what will much avail you. At least, for what you'll find, you are prepared. Forewarned, forearmed, she can the less assail you. Perhaps, since I have told you how I fared, your own good sense and prudence will not fail you, and what 1,000 others could not do, defend themselves, will be achieved by you. 54. Rogerio had long known Astolfo's name, for he was a cousin to the maid he loved. He grieved to find him fallen to this shame, changed to a sterile plant, and far removed from noble deeds, for which for a night win fame. For Bradamante's sake his heart is moved. He'd gladly rescue him if he knew how. All he can do is console him now. 55. He ministered such comfort as he could, then asked if there was any path which led to Logista's realm by which he would avoid Alcina. And Tolsvo said there was another route, he understood, a rough and rugged, rock-strewn way to tread, a little further on, then to the right, and up a slope towards the topmost height. 56. Let him not think, however, he will far advance along this path so harsh and steep, for he will meet an enemy who'll bar the way with ferocity, will keep the pass. Alcina's frontier guards they are, who bring to book whoever would escape. Then, for the information he imparted, Ruggiero thanked the myrtle and departed. 57. Untethering his mount, he held the rein and walked the creature slowly after him. He did not choose to ride it just then, lest it take off with him another time. The right-hand path his purpose was to gain, and to the lands of Logistilla climb. He was determined to use all his skill, not to fall captive to Alcina's will. 58. Should he perhaps his winged charger take, and cross the mountain peak by means of it? He was afraid that this might be a mistake, for it responded little to the bit. So then he thought, my way by force I'll make, if circumstance and destiny permit. Soon, 2 miles from the sea-coast, he beholds the lovely city which Alcina holds. 59. A line of bastions has caught his eye, which rings the mighty citadel around. They are so tall they almost touch the sky, and from their topmost height down to the ground they seem to be of solid gold. And I am told that some evidence was found of alchemy. However that may be, they glittered so, they looked like gold to me. 60. But when he saw those walls so rich and fair, in all the world their equal was unknown, he shunned the broad unswerving highway which, towards the portals, would have led him on, and hoping Logostina's land to reach, turned to the right towards the hill. But soon a horde of deadly enemies engage all his attention with their frenzied rage. 61. No stranger band of foes has ever been, no faces more repellent or distorted. Some, human downwards from the neck, were seen, with cat or ape-like heads to be ill-sorted. Some, gambling, made goat prints on the green, and prancing centaurs round about cavorted. Some old and slow, some young, with urchin grins, some naked, and some clad in furs or skins. 62. Some on a charger gallop to and fro without a rein, or on a donkey amble, or on an ox on centaurs' backs some go. On eagles, cranes, and ostriches some scramble, some drink from stirrup cups, some bugles blow, female or male or both, without preamble. All kinds of tools and implements they brandish, rope ladders, pikes, and shovels, all outlandish. 63. The monster who was captain of this crew, his belly swollen and his lips distended, upon a turtle rode, with slow and few alternate steps, its wrinkled feet extended. On this side and on that were ruffians who, with kind solicitude, on him attended. For he was drunk, his brow and chin some mopped, some fanned, some held him upright when he flopped. 64. One creature with a human trunk and feet, with canine neck and ears and proboscis, bellows and barks to make the knight retreat towards the city which behind him is. He answers, I'll surrender to no threat, as long as I have strength to handle this. He shows his sword and turns the pointed end against his foe, his passage to defend. 65. The monster tries to wound him with a lance. Ruggiero quickly presses the attack. He drives his weapon through its chest at once. 6 inches it protrudes behind its back. Then, shield on arm, makes ready to advance. His foe, alas, for numbers does not lack. They goad and harass him at every stride. He slashes, cuts, and thrusts on every side. 66. Some to the teeth, some to the chime he cleaves. Thus the infernal race he decimates. They have no shields, no helmets, no greaves, no coats of mail, cuirass, or armor plates, and yet, hemmed in, no headway he achieves. In the congestion which the horde creates, he needs, the enemies so numerous, as many arms as had Bradarius. 67. If he had been inclined to use the shield which to the sorcerer had once belonged, which Atlante cunningly would wield, and many a brave knight with it had wronged, he would have rendered helpless on the field the brutish mob which round about him thronged. But it is well perhaps that he refused the aid of fraud, and only valor used. 68. But, come what may, he'd rather contemplate his death than fall a victim to this host. Meanwhile there issue by the city gate, forth from those walls which golden splendor boast, two damsels who must be of high estate. So noble is their bearing, of such cost is their attire. No shepherdesses these, but ladies born to lead a life of ease. 69. And each is mounted on a unicorn. Whiter than ermine these two beasts appear. The beauty of the garments which adorn the riders so enhance them, I fear no man in all the world was ever born, who with undazzled vision could declare a judgment on their loveliness, which seemed the embodiment of all our fairest dreams. 70. And now they move towards the meadow grass, where brave Ruggiero battles with the band. The ruffians stand aside to let them pass. Each lady to the knight extends her hand, and, with a rosy blush upon his face, he thanks the damsels, who thus put an end to his ordeal, and gladly he agrees to pass the golden gate, if they so please. 71. Above the portal was a pediment, in all its surface sculpted in relief. No part of it was lacking ornament, being encrusted, it is my belief, with precious jewels from the Orient. 4 pillars give support, as hard as if in all their girth hewn from the diamond stone. No fairer, lovelier gate was ever known. 72. And on the threshold near the colonnade, alluring damsels sported winsomely. If more sedate decorum they displayed, more comely and more lovely still they'd be. In garments of bright green they were arrayed, with coronals of leaves, seductively, with beckoning gestures and smiling eyes, they ushered in the night to paradise. 73. Nor would this be too fanciful a name for the abode where love, I think, was born, where everyone in dance or joyful game, the festive hours employed from early morn, where of sad thoughts no shadow ever came to spoil this rosebed life without a thorn. There no discomfort was, no cup was empty, but endless bounty from the horn of plenty. 74. For here, as with serene and radiant brow, April, it seems, forever sweetly smiles. Young men and women to each other vow their love. One by a fountain sings, one whiles away the time beneath a leafy bough, one on a shady hill the hours beguiles, and one with a companion draws aside his thoughts of love the better to confide. 75. Among the topmost branches of the trees, laurels and conifers, tall pine and beech, gaily rejoicing in their victories, small cupids flutter, clattering each to each, and if a heart as yet untouched one sees, he shoots, or else, if it be out of reach, he spreads a net. Some to a stream are flown, to temper darts or file them on a stone. 76. They gave Ruggiero a new mount, a bay, strong, spirited, though not for battle bred. With precious gems and finest gold inlay, its harness was adorned. A stripling led the hippogriff, accustomed to obey the sorcerer, it seemed content to heed. The young attended in that joyful place, and came behind at a slow, stately pace. 77. The damsels who had given timely aid when he was harassed by the ruffian band, which such ferocious opposition made when he had tried the path on the right hand, as they rode onwards turned to him and said, "My lord, your valiant deeds we understand have earned you much renown, and we would ask for your assistance in a certain task." 78. A little further on there is a marsh, which you see divides this plain in two. There Eriphila, cunning, fierce and harsh, defends the bridge against all comers who desire to cross, if any are so rash. She is a monster, and gigantic too. Her fangs are long, and venomous her bite, and bear-like claws she uses in her spite. 79. Not only in our way does she obtrude, which would be unencumbered otherwise, but often in our garden she'll intrude, despoiling it before our very eyes. And you must know that of that multitude beyond the gate who fought you in such guise, a number she herself has brought to birth, the vilest offspring ever seen on earth. 80. Ruggiero said, "This task I'll undertake, and hundreds more am I prepared to try, so of my humble self be pleased to make what use you will, and on my sword rely. I wear this coat of mail, not for the sake of conquest or of plunder, but that I may honorably serve the good and true, and, most of all, fair damsels, such as you." 81. The ladies duly thanked the cavalier. That he was chivalrous there is no doubt. Conversing in such manner, they draw near the bridge and marshy track, where he must rout a giantess, whose golden trappings were adorned with emeralds and sapphires. But to my next canto I must now postpone Ruggiero's battle with this evil one. End of Canto 6.